Is here from Become Church, and he will do the invocation for us today.
Father, we thank you for the privilege of citizen government. We thank you for these representatives who are here to serve. We thank you for the civil servants that are here to serve. And God, we thank you for Spring Hill. We thank you for the blessing that it is to live in a time and place that has so many opportunities. We pray for wisdom as decisions are made that guide our future. We pray for favor on the people and the businesses. I pray for blessings on my neighbors, Lord. We pray that you would be lifted up here and that you would have your way in the midst of this meeting. We thank you for everything and every opportunity that we have before us. We pray that it would be in Spring Hill as it is in heaven. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Mrs. Feeback, please. Mrs. Feeback?
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Peel?
Here.
Mr. Young?
We have two that are joining us online, so hopefully we get it.
Okay. Mr. Van Houten?
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum present.
All right. Next, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. Are there any questions or comments on that? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0-0. Next, we'll move on to citizen participation. This is time when the public can come in and speak their piece about whatever they would like to talk about. We did not have anyone sign up on the list, but if there's anyone in the audience that would like to step up and speak, now would be your time. If not, we'll go ahead and close citizen participation at this time. We'll move on to formal council action. Do we have him back online yet or not yet? Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and move on, and if he joins, we'll see. First item on the agenda is consider approval of appointment of city council member. And the person I'm recommending for appointment, his name is Doug D'Albini. He's been a member of the community for about 20 years here in Spring Hill. He's been involved in lots of different things throughout town. He's served on the Parks Board here for about 10 years. Also served as the president of that board. And has been involved with his kids, with school and sports and a lot of different things in the community. I think he'd be a great asset to our team up here. So with that, I open up for any questions or comments. Or if there are none, I entertain a motion.
The only comments I had were we had 7 applicants, which I all thought were good applicants.
Yep.
So it was a competitive process. So I don't have any other comments to add other than that. I'm good.
I just got back in, sorry.
All right, to catch you up, Chad, we're asking if there's any questions or comments on the appointment of Doug D'Albini to the council.
I don't have any questions. My only comment is, I don't know Doug myself, but I was in support of another candidate, and so if anybody wants an explanation on my opinion tonight, that will be what it is. But good luck.
If there are no further questions or comments, I entertain a motion.
I make a motion to appoint Doug D'Albini to the vacant city council seat.
Do I have a second? Are they both online there? Okay. No second?
Doesn't sound like it.
All right. Well, I guess if we don't have a second, then motion dies for lack of a second. Next, we'll move on to presentations, and the first one we have is a presentation of Spring Hill Recreation Commission.
Mayor, I'm gonna recuse myself for this.
All right.
There we go. Good evening. Let me get this logged in. Or plugged in. Anything I need to do? Okay. Maybe? Huh. Okay. There we go. That's what I get for having a 10-year-old laptop. There we go. Hello, my name's Jake. I think I know most of you guys here, but I'm the sports coordinator for Spring Hill Recreation Commission. I'm here to talk tonight about, we've already gone and talked to the Parks Advisory Board, but about the city donating the sports complex. That's, I forget the address, at 309 West or Northwest Street, I forget what it is. But back to us, because it was originally ours, just because I have a presentation for you. Maybe feel free to ask any questions as I go along here or anything. I said it's a total of 4 parcels. It's 11 acres. We've maintained it for a very long time. We've had a lease agreement with the city. I think we can only do like 9 years at a time. But we've maintained it for as long as I know, since it's basically when we became a recreation commission. We used to be an association, and we had to. Recreation commissions weren't at that time allowed to own any property whatsoever, but laws have changed in the 50 years that they've been in place. So now we can have them donated or given back to us. Essentially, we just can't physically purchase land. We have to have the land given to us, essentially. So it was originally Spring Hill in 1966. The Recreation Association is the one who built all of that out there. Over there, there's 4 fields. We've been since that time, since we became a recreation commission, we've been in charge of the maintenance, the upgrades, repairs. So the last facility usage agreement would be 2017, so through 10 years, and it was $10 was what you guys charged us for the lease. We provide all the funding, maintenance, upgrades over there in that time, so we've basically taken care of all of it. If you haven't seen, we've redone the parking lot, and we've just redid all the baseball fields, laser leveled them. Also built a nice big maintenance shop for our staff over there. This actually slides this on from the city's website, a little snippet of the property, and it's hard to read up there, but it's basically describing when the land was bought and how the association took off after that, and youth sports wasn't a thing until 1966, really, here in Spring Hill. And that's, I guess, the plot of land. It's hard to read. So yeah, these are some of the projects we've done since our agreement started. This current agreement started in 2017. We've added shade structures to all the fields, and we plan on doing more. The maintenance facility shop, which is on a later slide, parking lot. We did a new fencing and trash area. We've added signage everywhere, and we also have an art mural we've done. If you haven't seen it, it's really nice, done by local John Munden. So there's the maintenance facility, parking lot we redid, I guess this last fall, fall, it was a long project. The left is the new trash area, and then on the right is the new ballpark sign. I think it's dedicated to, can't read it, it's our Marty Green, who was like our first board president, I believe, local resident. And there's the mural by John Munden that did it this last fall. It's actually kind of cool. Turned a kind of an eyesore into something kids take pictures in front of. So future projects, so maybe consider our board is actually, we want to invest more into this property, but before we invest as much as we'd like to they'd like to have the property back, I guess, essentially, because there's lots of dollars, I guess, that we're thinking about doing, but they would like, before they made that investment, possibly getting the property back as our own. Because we're our 5-year CIP, which is lighting, which I think there's in the later slide, but lighting for all new fields is going to cost upwards of $1 million to relight the complex, and that makes our board nervous to put that much into an investment in something that isn't ours. Fencing, it's probably the original fencing from 1966. If you played ball games out there, it's in need of repair. And there's a lot of things. We have another phase of the parking lot we also want to redo where people walk in the middle towards the fields, and we also another thing we would do is we want to get rid of the old pool and replace it with something. We don't have a plan at this point exactly what we want to do with it, but we know that we want to get rid of it and make it a community feature of some sort, whether that's, and we'll obviously take input from the city what that would be, but city being the citizens. Let's see here. So we just did this at the athletic fields upgrades. We just laser leveled all the baseball fields over there. So now if those have seen they used to be white. Now they're red dirt. So it looks a lot different over there. Field 4 won't be Lake Field 4 anymore. So we'll be actually playable and we'll have games on it for the first time in 5 years this year. So there's just another project, the concrete resurfacing that we did this summer. So this is the dollars amounts of the current projects or the projects that we've already completed over there. Like I said, it's been close to $700,000 in the last, since my time's been here in 2007. I started in 2017, so that's all been since I've started in Spring Hill Recreation. So this is the future investments we're wanting to do. So the field surface upgrades actually just got done, so you can add that to our other total. More concrete work, the lighting, that number we're learning is probably going to be bigger than what it is because we have a lot of electrical to make it work right because it's an archaic system. It has 4 different outlets over there, so we need to turn it into one, and it's going to have a lot of rerouting of electricity over there. Fencing is going to cost about $250,000. Parking lot, the next phase of the lower parking lot, because we did the upper parking lot that was gravel. The lower parking lot is going to cost $500,000, and rough estimate of getting rid of the pool and adding whatever the city wants, citizens want over there. We're estimating another $500,000, and we also like to add some irrigation and walking trails around our complex too. And that's so you can see there's a lot of investment that we are wanting to do. The only hesitancy from our board is it's a lot of investment for us to put into a property that we don't own, and technically we could lose it. We could invest all this and the city could decide to do something else with this, and that's not what we want. So there's a little bit more about the old pool facility. I know it's been a goal of the city to demo it, and we hear it all the time too, as we maintain it, so it gets confusing. But yeah, we would like to get rid of it and add something there. We've had a lot of ideas, whether it's pavilion or a concert, something over there, more pickleball courts. We're willing to take any recommendations. So the faster we can get our board, I think, is ready to start putting into CIP how to get these fixed, but they want to see hopefully this change before they start agreeing to us spending more money over there. There's going to be the old pool facility renovations. I said if there's any questions, like we're probably won't, with how much it costs, it's probably going to take us a couple phases to do it. We imagine our first one will be taking it out and then figuring out, because we figure that we're going to have to take it all out and just start over, because with everything that's underneath it and all that, we're not sure if we can even just fill it in and put something on top of it. So we may find we found a group that did that in Raymore, but they won't know until somebody comes and looks at it. So we're not sure how long it'll take at this point, but we're hoping that'll be, if this is changed, approved, we would It'd probably be priority one on one of our top priorities. I don't want to say priority one on our CIP list over there, because we will have smaller ones, but, we'll obviously do get a timeline out there and have public input and city input and take more input from the Parks Advisory Board because we've had discussions with them about this. This is just the statute and I don't think I can pull it up, but no, of course not. But it's basically the statute that shows that we aren't allowed to own property. That's what's highlighted in there, is that we can only acquire it through donation. And it's the only legal way we can get property. We can't buy it for $1. Let's see if of course I went to so the community benefits would be that we're gonna keep on building up this facility, really making it our own. It'll be a faster timeline for getting the pool done, because we'll have the means to do a project like this. We also have in our current agreement with the city is that we're not allowed to have third-party rentals at the complex, which means any outside teams aren't really allowed to use it, and we get the Metro has a lot of baseball and softball tournaments, and they call us for extra fields, and we aren't allowed to rent those to those companies at this point. And a benefit would be an economic impact of those teams coming in. It's every year I get calls from Perfect Game and Midwest Sport, used to be Midwest Sports Production, but like begging to come down here, and like if we have I wouldn't call it a couple hundred teams, but a couple hundred people down here that aren't from Spring Hill, to be outside people spending money in our town. And the other benefit that we see is that this property will remain a park inside of city limits forever, as long as we exist. Is there any questions?
No.
I don't have any questions. Are you asking what you're asked for today?
Sorry, I guess I didn't say that out loud. But we'd like for the city to donate the sports complex to the Recreation Commission.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I thought maybe say that, but I apologize.
Any other questions or comments?
I have one. My connection's kind of going in and out. But I saw the cost there, and so just to clarify, because it was kind of staticky, the rec is paying for all those costs, is that correct?
Yes, that is our past CIP projects and current future plan for CIP projects, but some of those are not been approved or guaranteed because of the hesitancy of our board with not being our property.
Okay. Thank you for answering that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next, we'll move on to a 2023 year-end review by the Community Development Department, and Mr. Burton, you have the floor. Somebody want to get Brian?
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like name that tune, it's whatever. Changing yourself.
How do I change it?
Oh.
Oh, that's easy. I can handle that. Good evening. No, I'm not. Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to give our annual year-end report. Community Development Department was still busy. A little summary of the department. We look over and see all aspects of building permits and permits actually, except for right-of-way, though we do participate in the inspections of right-of-way. We are under the direction also of I have 3 employees in that department, Amy, Will, and Brandon. And there's a little table of contents there. The city has experienced remarkable growth. Oops, that's me. I'm sorry. I'm looking over at you. Remarkable growth and transformation of in the recent years, and we're moving forward. And we are committed to fostering economic environment that thrives on innovation and equal access and opportunity, as well as resources. The foundation of collaborating efforts to give a diversity in the community, and I'm confident that together we can take Spring Hill to not only new heights, but with the guidance of the Planning Commission and the governing body in the correct direction that will benefit the community as a whole. We're dedicated in creating businesses and attracting new industry that support growth, that are positive for the community, stimulate the economic prosperity, generate employment opportunities equal for all types of residents and the area. You'll see in a little bit a pretty unique graph of people in the area that work here or work outside and live here and vice versa. We have a planning commission. The planning commission members are listed. There's right now there's 2 vacancies in that, and the planning commission meets once a month. Demographics of the city, I think everyone's familiar with it, but approximately 92, probably 9,600 people by this time. Median age is 31, income 105,000. Household size is a 2.88, and unemployment rate is very low at 1.9. One of the things that the city should be extremely pleased with is that median income. We're one of the largest median incomes in the metro area, actually. So we're doing very well on attracting good medium income type of development. So this is a unique one where we were talking about the flows of employment. We're not there yet where we house a lot of people that live here under employment, meaning that if you look the employment out of the whole employment sector, there's approximately 2,000 employed in the area that live outside. There's 3,000 that live in the sector and employed outside, and then employed and live inside our area is about 368. So you can see that a lot of the people that live here are employed outside.
And is that from 2021? Is that?
That is 2021. It's the best that we could get
Yep.
on that. And we did have decent growth last year in residential. We did also have, as you'll see a little bit later, good growth in small commercial. And we call it industrial in some areas. Take 183rd Street in Webster area. Those are a lot of smaller firms that actually employ quite a few people that house there and are distributed from there. So I imagine that number will change, and hopefully we can get more up-to-date information for like 23 next year. The residential growth, we have exceptional schools. We believe that we have well-planned neighborhoods, and the overall quality of life. There you go. Sorry about that. Overall quality of life is very good in this community, in part from the schools, the rec commission, and the city as a whole, our employers, and just the people that live here. And, you know, they do care about the community, and I think that really does do. Although we saw a decline in residential construction, the housing market still remains strong in our opinion, and we were still the fastest growing community in the area in 2020 per capita. 2023. While there's this year we've seen several different types of housing and in the city, as far as we have seen some additional multifamily that we haven't seen in the past. We were only, and I say only, but which is still good, but we're used to doing more, 104 new single families and around 80 multifamilies. So it's still good for us, but you know we like to make sure that we can keep maintaining good flow through the community and serve the needs of people that want to move here, or people that are going to move up houses as well. We did see, like I said, a strong increase in commercial and industrial construction. We had 13 new, I think 13 new permits for issued in 2023 at a valuation of 14,400,000 and something, and which added about 400,000 square foot of commercial and industrial space to the tax base. This it was played a lot in that 183rd and Webster area. Although we've seen some new businesses there right off of Webster and 191st area. We just put a few of them here. It won't move for me. There, thank you. We put a few of them here, though there was 13 that were built, but these are Andy's Power Coating, Bedrock. They're really actually getting completed out there. And then we saw Dollar Tree and Family Dollar, which it has been really good for retail sales tax. And it serves a good purpose for the community as well. The permits on an annual comparison, as you can see, overall we were down. Overall permits we were up from 2022. 21 obviously was our high. Single family homes, you can see that as well. We were down from 18 on, but we still had good growth. Now, we did have a pretty good carryover in 22 of houses that were right on that border of being finished. Were finished in 23 and sold, and that affected our permitting for more new single families. The permit activity as far as the annual summaries in 23, the total valuation was about $58 million, and the total fees that were collected was around $2 million. Issued a total of 819 permits. The breakdowns there. These are all permits. We issue even fireworks permits, so bees, chickens, all kinds of things. Conditional use permits, we issued 3 which were on a staff review. Temporary use, 3 of them. The plats had slowed a little bit, although we still did 6 preliminary plats and 6 final plats. But we were able to get 8 site plans completed, and you can see through there, that's a few more of the industries that built in the community. Development activity on rezoning, there were 10 rezonings, and 2 annexations. So the city is still growing out some, and the rezonings reflect that a lot of the property that were planned and have been being worked on finally went ahead with some rezonings. Inspections, you can go, that shows the inspections that we have conducted, the type of inspections. It's atypical that you have this many new single families with this few inspectors. Honestly, you guys know me though, I like to run a tight ship, you know, I've been through this, I've been doing it since '85, and there's one thing I don't like to do is lay off people. And so, you know, we try and run a tight ship, and all of us have to pitch in, and they do a really good job at that. So, and not overstaffing and things like that. And the only way we can do that is through employees that do a really good job. Code enforcement violations here. This is the violations that were actually that had to be acted upon, either through a court summons or through active pursuit of a ticket or something like that, or we had to take action on it. The number of complaints that were driven that, you know, and Brandon takes care of most of that, the going out is a lot higher, but a lot of times it's just a knock on a door that works. Vehicle update, we have 3 vehicles, all new as of '23. One thing that we still are working on is the comprehensive plan. I know there's been some anxiety about it and all, but as some of the items that have come up here as of late, that we're still going to be able to incorporate into this community development plan or the comprehensive plan, we're still scheduled to be completed into March, into April, right in that area. And now we're at the point on this plan to some real nitty gritty of the growth areas as well as the proposed future land uses. So it's really a good time for everyone to get involved in that. And we have seen a small uptick in participation as of late. These are the resources that were utilized in this. I would like to thank the staff, Amy, Will, and Brandon, and then everyone else that does help us. And then I also want to thank the partners, you know, Johnson County as well as Miami County, and a special thanks to Janet. She helps me a lot on doing proposals for bidding on projects that come through Casey Partners or Commerce Department or something like that. Overall, it was a good year, although, you know, we're always disappointed a little bit if we can't strive farther than the year before. But it looks like that it could be another decent year this year, and hopefully with a few of the site plans that have gone through lately, and all, I think that we'll end up in a good position by the end of the year. So.
Are we on track for where we were last year this time? We're below.
No and yes, we're below right now, but we did, Wiswell's is getting started, so that will, Roush Coleman is a very good company, and they bring in a whole block of permits at one time. So I would say that we will catch up real quickly by the end of next month on staying within that. And then if we can get a few more projects through, I think that we'll be in the same range. Now, there may be a few projects that come up on board that really boost our valuation. Maybe let's just use some of the truck plaza. you know, if it comes on board and all, it's a large valuation. You know, there's a few projects out there that are being bid by the community as well as with some builder partners, that we do the state and Casey Partners and things like that, that if they come on board, you know, we could see some buildings as $40 million structures going up. So valuation wise, I think we'll be close. Hope to exceed. Yes.
Overall, you feel like we're going in a pretty good direction?
I think we are going in a good direction overall. You know, there's such a balance that needs to take place in a community. You know, we are studying right now through different means on the balance of multifamily versus single family residential, especially if a few of the employing larger employer type commercial comes on board. And that's a balance that we're gonna have to do. It will really help tremendously, I think, if we can wrap our hands around and really get the comp plan where it needs to be, and how the community wants to see it develop.
And if interest rates can quit climbing, that'll help us as well.
Yeah, I always try and stay away from that because I could sit up here and say something and tonight it'll do something different.
Yeah.
But I want to thank the governing body for, you know, the support. You know, we've had some rough waters here lately, and you know, it's part of it. But as we try and look at it, is try and do the best for the community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the approach that we try and take, and I want to thank the Planning Commission as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, any other questions?
Questions or comments?
Excellent. I love you guys. Have a good night.
I do.
Oh.
Yes, go ahead.
There's a delay on the phone.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, here's my question since you brought it up about the comprehensive plan.
Yes.
So I know we're working with a consulting group that's doing that. And I actually, I was at a basketball game this weekend, and I don't think it was a comprehensive plan that there was a consulting group outside of the gym. I think it was more so like a downtown area plan.
Mhm.
But it really, what was really neat about it is what they did. I guess I need to understand more what the process is with this comprehensive plan. Like what they were doing was they had a steering committee and then an advisory committee
Right.
that were full of business owners and various people giving input, and then also I believe they may have done a survey before. But what was really neat was before their city council is going to approve it, they did another survey. They like put the final plan out, and then had a survey from the community on that before the city council was going to approve it, just to make sure that people had a lot of opportunity to give their input and what have you on that. So is there, I mean, I know now we're talking April instead of March. I thought it was going to be done in March, but can you give me some idea of like the direction of our consulting group and how
Yes.
they're going to do that? I'd appreciate it.
Yes. So everything that is always on the web page for this, any changes, anything that is talked about, the growth areas will be put on there shortly. I'll step back first on the direction that we were given back. This was 3 or 4 years ago, on how we could go about hiring a consulting firm. And really it boiled down to the amount of funds that were available. The one that you are speaking about, yes, it is probably 4 times the cost of what ours is. We are gonna spend $250,000 on it as it is. So in meeting with different consulting groups and attorneys that do that, and from the past governing bodies, we would have, yes, we would have loved to have a Cadillac. It's just the funding was not available for that. So the RFP was slimmed down, and this is what we were able to accomplish with the funds. Now, in saying that, we have not really had a whole lot. We have had steering committees, but we have not had as much input as I had anticipated from the community. And we're gonna hold more meetings here now. The planning commission meetings are going to be comprehensive plans, and we hope that we will get more. But in saying that, when this is completed, it will be put out there in a timely manner, and we will have to ask administration and governing body on how long they want this to be reviewed by the community prior to bringing it to council. But that's a little background on it there.
Okay, and I guess it was more of just a question to know the direction of it. I'm not
Oh.
suggesting, I'm not suggesting going with a different consulting group or
Oh,
wanting a Cadillac and
No, I was giving
I
you
was
some
just trying to
background
understand.
on
Okay.
why we were not able to forego all the different things that some of these other communities are able to do, is what I was getting at on that. The direction, one of the reasons that it has been pushed a little bit is that we're working on a larger growth area than what was initially anticipated.
And I also think, didn't we push it a couple weeks to get additional input
Okay.
on the surveys?
Yeah, it was pushed for additional input on the surveys after we had some really good crowds here as of late, and hoping that they would participate maybe on that as well. But one of the main factors is when we bring a larger growth area in, that affects what we anticipate for the future land use of it. And it's taken, and really staff is having to do a lot of that because that was never in the RFP for the consultant.
Okay.
Did that answer everything?
It did.
Okay.
It did. I mean, I've had a couple citizens ask me about the
Sure.
comprehensive plan, so I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out, it's nice to be able to answer their question.
I understand. Sure.
Yeah, okay.
And we will get it out, and like I said, we'll consult with the administrator and the governing body as to how long you really foresee it sitting out there to receive comments on the final proposal.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to a presentation of the 2023 year-end review by the police department, and Chief Henson, you have the floor.
I'm timing it. Thank you. Okay, just to refresh, we have our core values at the front of respect and our mission statement, which is serving with integrity and protecting the vulnerable to enhance the quality of life for our Spring Hill community. So we do this by identifying 3 priorities, and they are people, community, and creating a safe and secure environment. And in the past, you've heard me talk about other priorities, and we had 5. We've narrowed those down to 3, but those 5 that we had before actually fit into these 3. So with people, obviously we're serving with respect. We're also focusing on training, technology, and the culture so that those of us who work in this profession and work within the PD feel good about what we're doing. We feel good about coming to work, and that allows us to serve our community even better. Community obviously is very important. We're very focused on community policing, looking at community outreach and involvement. And I think that's one of our favorite things to do in a lot of cases. And then lastly is creating a safe and secure environment, and that really focuses on the crime and traffic safety aspect of what we do, that law enforcement side of policing. We also did I do want to brag a little bit. We talked a lot about culture this last year and talked about, everything we've been working on for the last several years about what is it that who are we as a culture? And I talked to every individual officer and got basically a one-word response. And what I found is that we didn't have any gaps. We all felt very similar. We are very much people-driven as a culture. And I think that's really, it's a great testament of all the work that they have done over the last several years, and also leads to why they're so good at what they do in the field with de-escalating and really talking to our community in a very professional, respectful way. This is our current org chart. We are up to 18 commissioned officers and 1 civilian position. We are currently 2 people down that we're trying to hire this year. Kind of going through the people that we want. Obviously, we want to attract and retain quality employees. We want to be safe in our job and develop our employees and recognize their accomplishments. And I've got kind of a continuing list so you can see our trends over the last 5 years. In 2023, we were allocated up to 18. We hired 2. We lost 2, and not lost like literally, but they left. And we had 24 applications, and we interviewed 5 of those. So as you can see, it's a very few that actually get hired out of where it starts. We also promoted 2 sergeants in 2023. We recognized 6 officers for living the values, and recognized 6 with department commendations, and recognized 5 employees during this last year as top performers in selected categories. With equipment, technology, and training, we really focus on trying to be the best trained department of our size. And as you can see, we've continually gone up in our averages. In 2021, we were actually higher at 100 hours per officer, but we were at 91 training hours per officer this last year. The minimum is 40 hours of continued education that we have to have every year in order to keep our certification. We were also able to update our fleet and body-worn camera equipment, and we implemented e-ticketing, which took away from the paper and streamlined the process to the courts. This is a new slide, but this talks about our organizational integrity and professional standards. So I went back 3 years to kind of list out what the data is for our response to resistance, which is when someone is not cooperative and an officer needs to use some sort of a response to their resistance to put them into custody and safely process them. We also have failed to yield and failed to yield where we did not pursue and failed to yield that we did pursue. Complaints, how many of those complaints were sustained and unfounded. And as you can see, we had 3 complaints, 1 was sustained, 2 were unfounded, and then IA investigations. And those are internal investigations that could be as a result of a complaint, also could be as a result of a policy violation. And so you can see that that's what we've done. Community. That's really trying to prepare for the future growth and engaging our community through those outreach programs. These events we do every year, Pops with Cops, National Night Out, Drug Take Back, National Faith and Blues, Spectacular, Fall Festival. We really enjoy these events. We really get a lot of great feedback from them. Our officers really enjoy participating in them as well. So here's the raw data of crime. In 2023, we increased our calls for service. Now, calls for service can be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a criminal complaint. It can be a check the welfare. It could be a mental health call. It can be a motorist assist. It can be a lot of different things. But it is actually a call that is generated where an officer is dispatched. So we have gone up in those. But as you can look at our crime statistics, we are down in nearly all of our categories except for in drug arrests, which have gone up. Well, that is because our officers are out increasing their self-initiated activity and looking for those types of illegal activities. Reports have gone down. That is a direct result to the amount of crime reports that have gone down, because those are mandatory reports that they have to take, criminal reports. And of the domestic violence cases, 7 of them were high lethality. With regard to traffic, all of those categories are also down, with the exception of traffic stops. They went up, and the amount of violations cited. You can still see that we are still well under 50% of all drivers stopped are issued some form of citation. Those number of violations are actually violations. So in some cases, out of that 2,700 stops, someone may have gotten more than one violation. So we still do focus a lot on stopping and educating, letting them know if there's something wrong, or letting them know about the speeds or whatever the violation may be. Some department highlights. We've got to highlight our favorite officer, Loki. He's had 64 patrol deployments. 17 were building searches, tracks, and article searches. 47 were narcotic deployments. Loki and his handler, Officer Whiff, they had 310 hours of training this last year, which averages about 25 hours a month. They assisted 23 outside agency deployments, and 41 were deployments within the city of Spring Hill, which is a significant increase over the last several years, which is great. That means that we're really trying to focus a lot more of deployments internally, so that's excellent. So our records, and our civilian does a lot with property and records. So this is just kind of some broad-based numbers to let you know kind of what we do. You can see that we've increased the amount of property cases. We worked really hard on Jody Livengood and Sergeant Vincel worked really hard on purging property that was no longer needed, so that we could keep our facility open for more property to come and go. 93 of those items went to the crime lab. 137 warrants, 318 records requests, and all of those have gone up in 23 from the last year. Animal control calls. As you know, we do not have an animal control officer. We have a liaison officer, and that is Detective Weitzel. So we had about 145 calls for service. Of those were 112 dogs. Our at-large went way down. Our bites, unfortunately, went up. That doesn't necessarily mean that is a stranger bite. It could be they're biting a family member. Impounds are down, and citations went up just slightly. I will say that middle picture is one of my favorites. It makes me laugh every time. So last year in 2023, we had a few goals. They were to implement the body-worn cameras and fleet cameras, to implement e-ticketing, and to begin working on the state accreditation program. And we have completed all 3 of those. I mean, we're still working on the 2025 state accreditation, so we're really proud that we were able to accomplish the goals that we set out to do. In 24, our goals are to implement optics on our handguns and implement new tasers. Those are in process now. We should have that completed probably by the end of spring. And then we are still working on state accreditation and hopefully be able to complete a mock assessment in the fall, and that way we'd be completed by 2025 at the latest. We are also working on certifying 2 of the 3 apartment communities in crime-free multi-housing. And obviously, we can't do what we do without our residents and the community. We really do appreciate everything. We appreciate their support and generosities, and we do enjoy the interactions that we have with our community. So these are some of my favorite pictures too. But anyway, that's all I have. So if you have any questions.
Questions or comments? Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chief.
I have a comment. I have a comment.
Got you too.
That's a comment, not a question.
Well, exactly. It's not a question. I just want to say I really appreciate you all, Chief. I appreciate you too. I know you all are out there and active in the community, and I just want to say that's noticed. So I just want to thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I want to echo that. I believe we have a very good police department, and I think been around a lot of towns similar to our size, and I've never seen as much involvement by a police department in a small community like this. So I think the community appreciates it, and I think we're all safer because of it. So, all right, next we'll move on to the consent agenda. These are items that the staff considers to be routine maintenance business items, but if there's any questions or comments on the consent agenda, now would be the time. If not, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
I
Is yes. Okay.
Okay.
Motion carries 3-0-0. Next, we'll move on to formal council action, and the first item on the agenda is consider appointment of board members. And these first ones are reappointments of some positions to the Planning Commission, and the first person is Mr. Stephen Sly. He's been on that board for a while, that commission for a while, and has done a real good job on that. So I'd like to reappoint Stephen Sly, and his term would go through 2027. The next person is Mrs. Cindy Squire. She's been on that commission for many, many years, and we appreciate her input and value on that Planning Commission, and hers would also go through 2027. And then I would like to appoint a new representative for the Miami County representative position on the Planning Commission, and that would be Mrs. Kat Knabel. A lot of you know her. She's very involved throughout the community, has been here for, I believe, about 30 years approximately, and her parents have been here forever, and so they're very involved in the community, have done a lot over the years, and I think she would add a lot of good value to the Planning Commission.
When is that through?
What's that?
When is that through?
It is through 2026, because it's filling the vacant position. Yep. And with that, I open the floor to any questions or comments, and if there are none, I entertain a motion to approve the Planning Commission members.
Son. Madam Clerk, do we need to do a motion for each individual, or can we do all three as presented?
The slate.
Okay.
Is presented, yes.
I make a motion to appoint the 3 Planning Commission representatives as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0-0. Next one would be the Cemetery Board, and we have a couple reappointments on that board as well. Larry Sumner's been on there for a while, and then also Christine Hecky, and those would both go through 2027. And then we also have a new appointment on that one, Mrs. Marie Haney. She has also been involved in the community for a long time, and I think would be a valuable asset to that board. I'll open the floor to any questions or comments on that. Any one of those 3?
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Just to clarify that Marie Haney would be through February 2025.
Correct. Sorry, I didn't add that there. I had it in my notes and missed it. If there are not any questions or comments, I entertain a motion for those 3 to the Cemetery Board.
I make a motion to approve the Cemetery Board appointments as presented by the mayor.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0-0. Next, we'll move on to announcements and reports. The only announcement I would really have is we do still have the Johnson County representative open, and we'll probably put that back out there for open again. And then obviously now we have the council position open as well. So if there's anyone else that would like to throw their name in the ring, we'll get that posted out shortly, and we'd love to have you put your letter of interest in. And I believe that's all I have. Mr. Young. Sorry, he's not on here. Mr. Van Houten.
Sure, I have nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Peel.
Yeah, no report tonight.
Mrs. Feedback, if you're still on there.
I am. I have no report, Mayor.
Mr. Massey.
No report.
Mr. Lau.
No report.
Mr. Burton.
No report, sir.
Chief Henson.
No report.
Madam Clerk.
No report.
Mrs. Dunham.
No report.
Mr. Spear.
No report.
Pretty quiet tonight. With that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session. I don't remember how many minutes that one was.
I got 10.
10 minutes.
Mr. Lau, 10 minutes.
10 minutes. And really quick, before we make the motion, Councilmember Feedback, would you like us to call you into that, or do you want to be done for the night?
She might already.
Mr. Young is back.
You
Oh,
can
okay.
call me into it if that's okay, Spencer.
Okay, absolutely. And Mr. Young, same question to you, now that you're back. Do you want us to call you into this exec session?
Yes, please.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
You're good. All right, with that, I entertain a motion.
I move the city council recess into executive session for 10 minutes to receive advice of council to discuss threatened or pending litigation to KSA 75-4319B2 of the Kansas Open Meeting Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 8:13 p.m. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance are the following: Mr. Lane Massey, City Attorney; Mr. Spencer Lau, City Attorney. Excuse me, Lane Massey is the City Administrator.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0-0. We will see you guys shortly. All right, welcome back, everybody. Let the record reflect the governing body reconvened in open meeting at 8:13 p.m. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussions was limited to the subject stated. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-0-0. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.